Om Sadashivat Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Motiveda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome to our Drsya Viveka class. And so let's see. So now that you are back with us, Claudio, so do you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? We don't have questions and answers anymore. We can have answers and answers as well.
I have a question. It seems to me that the internal three meditations could be considered steps in one meditation.
The internal what? I missed a passage there.
The three internal meditations
Okay.
of object, sound, and nirvikalpa.
And
Could they be progressively sitting within one meditative experience?
yeah, of course. It's easier to meditate on something more tangible, more dense. Although the suggestion here is to turn anything into its substratum. So if you meditate in the physical material world, so you are just being invited to transform that to turning that into its substratum. But it helps initially because you can develop one pointedness to your object of meditation, which is more tangible, more easily grasped by the mind. And then we say we progress as we move into our thoughts, the internal world, and then we have to watch the thoughts as they come, and then again the thoughts have to be resolved in Brahman as well. So meditate on your thoughts. It's a little bit more subtle, as we can imagine, than meditating on a candle, like a lot of people used to meditate on a candle, or an aspect of your physical body, like the breath. It's much more tangible. It's easier to meditate on your in and out flow of vipassana, as we used to. There are several different techniques of pranayamas, but basically you are meditating on something, the vital airs, and meditate on the mind is a little bit more subtle, as we know. And then the invitation is, as you come to that level of subtlety, and then you begin meditating on the words. But when we say meditating on the words, we want to meditate on the meaning of the words, in Upanishadic words, okay? So it's a very complex and subtle nididhyasana. So, and then it is really like the intellect is fully involved with that meditation, because it is contemplate on the words. So you don't want to hold on to any word. So you want to hold on to the scriptural words. So it is a progression, definitely. It's from the more dense to the more subtle. And very few people understand the Vedantic meditation, because they often see meditation as just a means by which you focus the mind. And then once the mind has developed focus or one pointedness, people do not want to disturb the mind with contemplation. You understand? They say, oh no, I mean, let me keep my mind focused because it feels good. The only thing we know at that stage is it feels good not to steal the mind. Yeah. So, and then to steal the mind, to bring about the contemplation on the Vedantic words is something that very few people are willing to do, because they are more inclined to have the bliss that comes from a controlled mind than make a step forward and use that scientific mind now with the qualities of silence and one-pointedness, using that, steer that mind with the scripture words, so that you chase now the clear and firm understanding of the meaning of those Mahavakyas, those statements, or those aspects of the teachings. So since most people have a higher value for experience and a lesser value for knowledge, they tend not to move into this last stage, which is the nididhyasana or Vedantic meditation, that it's not understood in most cases, you know. So this is a way, a compromise, a way to present meditation or upasana as within the realm of Vedanta. Okay, so I sometimes I read or heard Swamiji say, so Vedanta does make a compromise and brings in upasana. Huh? Upasana, from what I understood traditionally, is not really part of Vedanta, but in the Gita, there is a compromise there, and and they add that on the chapter 7, Lord Krishna, I believe, or 6 or 7 teach upasana. And then in the text, in the several of our texts, there is mention to meditation. The meditation basically serves the purpose to make the mind focused, okay? Because if the mind is not focused, and then you have a hard time to follow the unfoldment of these Upanishad teachings, which are very subtle, and the mind is going to deviate from it very, very often, you understand? It diverges and goes this way, that way, other thoughts start coming and congesting the mind. So you need to have a mind very, very focused and clear and flexible. Flexible is another aspect we gain from this discipline of deep meditation. So when we come to Vedanta, we assume that one is fully qualified. And then traditionally, we would not say, okay, you must meditate, because if you come to Vedanta, you should have already one-pointedness, a focused mind, okay? But we know it's not the case always. And why we say that? Because Vedanta sees Kama Yoga as an easier and more natural way to develop a clear and one-pointed mind, you understand, focused mind. Because what brings mental disturbance, ignorance in regards to Mithya, in regards to the system, Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat, you understand? So if we are totally ignorant of this, and then we try to control the mind, but the mind is all the time subject to this ignorance. So in the old days, I used to call, the first thing is Ishvara knowledge and then self-knowledge, or Mithya knowledge and then self-knowledge. We need to know how things work in Mithya and understand Ishvara and so on, so that you can interact, transact in the world without having your mind all disturbed. And controlling the mind in the yogic way without understanding Karma Yoga, it is very, very difficult, because you are trying to discipline the mind, but you are not addressing the root cause of the problem, which is the ignorance in respect to how things work here in Mithya, you understand? So once you are Karma Yoga, you understood, you know, to what degree you can choose and and follow, yeah? your wishes, your desires, or your preference, and but with no expectations and with a certain attitude of gratitude and reverence to life and to Creator. So once you get in that groove, is a word we used last week. Once you get in that groove, and then your mind is going to become much more stable, focused, okay, and quiet, because you got that knowledge, Ishvara knowledge. It's clear and it's fructifying in my life. So we present Kami Yoga as integrant part. It's Kami Yoga and then Yana Yoga. But then we say Kami Yoga, Upasana Yoga, if Kami Yoga alone cannot do the job. And then you add Upasana Yoga into the recipe, because a lot of people comes from these notions, the way to enter in this process is through meditation, which is absolutely wrong. Why? Because meditation is much more difficult than following Dharma. Once you really understood the Dharma, you understand? Once you really understood Dharma, and then it's easier than controlling the thoughts and the emotions and bring the mind to be purified by willpower, you understand? And willpower alone, it fails to really purify the mind completely, because it, as I said, does not address this fundamental ignorance in respect to Mithya, Ishvara Jiva Jagata. So that's why Vedanta does not emphasize so much. But in the Western world, especially, everybody comes into this spiritual search, let's say, by meditation. I learned this meditation. I went to a Vipassana retreat and this, or transcendental meditation. So all these different, and then these new modern ones, so everybody comes from this experience. If I control my mind and I stay here now, and then I have a better experience of the world, and people do not have a religious vasana in the West, and then it's difficult for them to integrate Karma Yoga, because Karma Yoga involves a God, a creator. It's a religion kind of development. One has to be religious. So it's like Buddhism. They reject the creator, God, and then say, but you must meditate and you must follow Dharma. So the person is there, he does not have any understanding of how he relates to the creator, but he knows that he has to follow certain rules, like in any religions. There are rules and rules of how to conduce and to follow Dharma somehow. But without the knowledge, without the understanding to follow Dharma, it's a little bit more hard. It's a little bit more difficult. And then you fail, and then you hide that you have failed, and things are more difficult. So that's why in the end there is nothing like Vedanta. So it presents the logic that allows us to follow Dharma and to understand the Creator and understand the rules by which the Creator structure everything. And then the mind develops all the qualities necessary for self-inquiry and self-knowledge. But as I said, in the West, people want to meditate, and then they need to understand that the most efficacious meditation has to be one or another aspect of God. It's either Savikalpa Ishvara or Nirvikalpa Ishvara. You begin with Savikalpa Ishvara, one of your deities, or so on, and then you go into Vedanta. It's a little bit more sophisticated, but one step at a time. Yeah, it's gradual, no doubt about that. I followed this path of meditation as well, and Sagadatta Maharaj used to say very strong, you must meditate. And then next sentence he'll say, understanding is everything, but you must meditate. So he never really explained that you must meditate to prepare the mind to understand. You understand? And and he never introduced the idea that you may prepare the mind by being a karma yogi. You understand? Because he was part of this direct path culture, you know, of going direct to the understanding that all there is consciousness. I think it was a good question and a good opening, and may have answered some doubts of Claudio as well. Claudio was saying like, oh, very good. Thank you, Lynn. Anything else? Lynn?
No, I'm just, it points out to me how very important it is to understand Ishvara. And that's what, this hellbent focus on getting to samadhi, nirvikalpa, or what samadhi is wrong-headed, really. You just really need the knowledge.
Definitely.
Before you can. When the mind contemplates on the words from the scripture, is it correct understanding, and I think I heard this, can't remember where, that the mind takes the form of the thought. And so as it takes the form of that thought, it is almost as if charmed by that and naturally drawn to that expansiveness from the scripture and forms to that, and then just leads you naturally into samadhi. Is that a correct understanding?
I think it's a good construct. Where we hear in some passages in our text that the mind is everything happens in the mind, and we have seen that several times following the teachings on location of objects. We know that the objects are not apart from the thoughts of objects, and there is no cause and effect. The object causes the thought of the object, and the thought of object causes the object, you know. And so everything happens in the mind, and then the mind is said to be very malleable. I don't know if I said the word correctly, and takes the shape of the thought object because it happens in the mind. You know? But this is stretching. And this is more like a experiential vision or construct, you know. So when we meditate on the scriptural knowledge of the Upanishads, they are certain, and they are presenting some logic, some analysis, some logic that reveals and proves that I am this consciousness, and I'm just working on some of those teachings and some of those angles, and not contemplating. And it could even be a passage like that. I become what I think. Okay, could be something on those lines as well. Okay, because if we say I am the body mind, and then that's my experience, that's how I feel about my I. But if I go with the thoughts proposed by the Upanishads, and I start meditating that I am that Brahman, I am limitless consciousness, and I don't get affected by the mind's experience, the body mind's experience. If I keep meditating, contemplate on that, I become that. Okay, but we never become something unless we are that thing. You understand? Because milk can become cheese and then cannot be reversed. Okay, but reflected consciousness cannot become original consciousness unless it is already original consciousness. You understand? So when we contemplate on the scriptures, on these final teachings of Vedanta, so we're going to sooner or later have a certainty about that, to the extent that my doubts and questions are going to be resolved and removed until it's clear that I am just consciousness and I'm not affected by anything, you know. So it's more on those lines, that the contemplation on the teachings is going to remove those final doubts or vagueness and questions or suspiciousness. You understand? And then we can claim it. It's all about claiming. You understand? And then I say, of course, yes. Why I did not claim my nature before? This is what I am. And this is a wonderful vision, although extremely simple. You understand? When you see it, say, yes, of course, I am this consciousness and nothing can affect me. The world is going to affect my body mind, but not myself as consciousness. And it seems something irrelevant for most, but it is not, because this clear seeing, this clear knowledge, this clear understanding, has the power to transform our inferior nature, to the extent that our inferior nature is going to be less and less effect on the body-mind level with whatsoever the prarabdha karma is, you understand? So the inferior nature as a bonus, because it is our inferior nature that wants to be insulated from the shocks and the ups and downs, the pleasure and pains of samsara. So this clear seeing, it has incredible power to insulate us or to immunize us against these ups and downs, these cries and difficulties. So it's more about clearing whatsoever obstacle still is there, waiting to be removed, so that you can clearly, undoubtedly claim your true identity in consciousness as consciousness.
Thank you so much. Very clarifying. Thank you.
You are welcome. Did we lose Claudio? No. Okay, shall we move to the verse 27? It's good to have a Q&A. Very nice. We are moving to the verse 27, the continuation of the thought flow in Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not known at the time of Samadhi, but it is inferred from the recollection later on. Thus the thoughts are present. So this is the last sentence before we go into the verse 27, which I believe last class I mentioned the continuation of the thought flow in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So there is a Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The yogi wants to fall into Nirvikalpa Samadhi deliberately, okay? And he does that by holding on to a certain vritti. So there is a thought there. The thought, of course, must be I am, but it's I am, and usually I am comes with the world, that I and the world, aham and what's the other one? And idam. So, but when we go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the word starts disappearing, and then there is the I, and the knowledge or the contemplation in respect to the nature of this I is going to determine whether the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is going to be wrapped around the notion that I am emptiness or I am fullness. You understand? So if you enter the Nirvikalpa Samadhi from the angle of a yogi, you're going to enter, say, like, I am emptiness, and the world is a problem. So I have removed the world, and this I is emptiness, and the I can be realized only when the world is removed. So I go there, and then there is this thought flow in the mind of the yogi. When it's coming out, it can be inferred from recollection, that I had this incredible experience of emptiness, you understand? And that is the ultimate reality. So Nisargadatta Maharaj used to say that the absolute, the silence, the emptiness. No? But from the standpoint of the Vedantic Nirvikalpa Samadhi, we go there not contemplating the notion that I am emptiness, okay? We go there contemplating the notion, the thought that I am all there is. I am one without a second. I am free, limitless consciousness, and I am whole, full, and complete. So this is a totally different reach. And that thought flow remains, although it's suppressed. And then in recollection, when the meditation or the samadhi is over, you come back in retrospect, recollecting experience of fullness rather than void or emptiness. It's different angle, you understand? Therefore, the thought flow is there. It is suppressed. It is in seed, but it's present in subtle form or seed form. And then on the way back, you don't come with this notion that, I have to go back to emptiness. No, I have to go back. If I have a vasana for that experience, I have to go back to my fullness as consciousness. And consciousness is one without a second. So there is only me, but I'm not empty, because there is a problem about define yourself as emptiness, you understand? First, because you're going to feel like I am empty, and therefore there is no room for the world. If I am emptiness, so the world has to be removed, rejected, you understand? Because I am empty. But when you say I am whole, full, and complete, and the world is just a mirage, a superimposition, so the yoni, if the yoni is a yogi, yoni who is also into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there are some discussions in the Vedantic realm as well about what is the highest Vedantic Swami. Is the one who is also a yogi. I mean, is one who goes again and again into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but yet is a yoni. You understand? He knows everything about the true nature of the self, but he has an old vasana because he was, since young age, making efforts to experience Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Now he has this vasana, Nirvikalpa Samadhi vasana, but he is a yoni. And then someone will say, this is a complete yoni because he has both, you understand? But this is not correct understanding, okay? This is just another vasana. I mean, you may have a vasana to be a Mahatma who goes into this self-induced sleep, or you may be a Mahatma with a vasana of never going into any sleep except the minimum necessary, because your vasana is for spreading the words all over the world. So how can you say that the one who is sleeping, so 6 hours in the night and plus 8 hours in the day, or 6 hours in the day in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, how can you say it is superior to someone like Shemaya, who slept very little and had a huge vasana to spread, to transform other people as well, help other people, you understand? So it's a mistaken, because these samadhis, experiential samadhis, are overrated in the spiritual circles in general. Okay, so don't think, Claudio, that you're going to need both. I need to be a Nirvikalpa Samadhi yogi and a yani. The real deal is to be a yani, to know. Okay, and then whatsoever vasanas you have are going to influence the way you're going to live your life. But never ever imagine that you need Nirvikalpa Samadhi in order to be free, in order to get moksha. It's a totally wrong understanding, okay? But the verse 27, let me read it in here. As in the heart, in any outside object, also the first meditation associated with the thing is possible. That meditation is the separation of the name and form from the pure existence. So when we deal with the physical objects of meditation, we are saying like, oh, the objects are there. Yeah? And then you're gonna have to remove the nama rupa of the object, which is the shape and color and the name, you know. So you see that, and you resolve that in Brahman. So rather than resolve that into Brahman as consciousness, it's easier for the mind to resolve that into existence itself. Once the mind is clear that there is only one existence, because existence is another feature of consciousness, is conscious existence. So, and then I meditate on a tree, and then I remove the tree gradually in my mind. I bring forth the teachings, and I start seeing the tree. And then by seeing the tree, I start understanding the Sat aspect of Brahman. This too is Brahman. This Namarupa is just a disguise by which Brahman appears as a tree, but everything is Brahman. So I follow the teachings of existence as non-dual, and therefore I'm contemplating on Brahman appearing as a tree. When we do the meditation on subtle objects, instead what we do, we see the Sat, and then we resolve the Sat into consciousness, because in order for the Sat, of course, you need consciousness reflecting the Sat, producing the Sat, and then you resolve the Sat in consciousness. And a lot of people makes confusion. They believe that the flow of Sats is consciousness. No, they are just objects, subtle objects appearing in consciousness. It's easier to associate the Sats with consciousness, and it's easier to associate the tree with existence, okay? Sat Chit. So here it says that as in the heart, in any outside object, so either you meditate inside in your inner world, or in any outside object, the first meditation, which is the first meditation associated with the seen object, is possible. That meditation is the separation of Namarupa and seeing the pure existence of any and everything, okay? So these are more profound meditations, because we meditate. There is a Saguna aspect there, I, the meditator, and the tree, but the goal here is to convert this Saguna meditation into Nirguna meditation, which is I'm meditating on the existence of Brahman, because the existence of all Namarupas is Brahman, okay? So every one of these meditations are going to be aiming this resolution, seeing the pure existence of everything. Now I remember what I was going to say. So this is very profound. You are resolving the objects all the way to Sat, the aspect, one of the aspects of Brahman. You can also, for some people with a different temperament, they can make a stop, you say, and you can have an intermediary stage, and we say, let me first resolve the tree in the Creator Ishvara. So, and then you're going to see the tree, and they'll say, what is this tree? So this tree, the elements, a certain configuration of the elements, and the elements were created by Ishvara, they are sustained by Ishvara. Therefore, everything is Ishvara, because Ishvara is also the universe manifests, is the intelligent cause and the material cause, and it shows up to the part as the stage called the universe. So I can also resolve the three in Ishvara if one feels easier that way, you understand, depending on the inner temperament of each one of us. It's when you do this resolution using Ishvara, there is a certain duality, because you are not resolving the three all the way in you, but there is a certain juicy, because you are not alone resolve things within you. You are still resolving things in Ishvara, and then you have this relationship of gratitude and joy towards Ishvara. So the bhaktas, they like that, and they think that it's worth it, and sometimes they get trapped and attached to that relationship with Ishvara, and they don't want to go all the way resolving everything into themselves, because otherwise they are alone. Does it make sense, Mark?
Yes, it does make sense. But the next step also, if you resolve the tree into Ishvara, then you start thinking of the body. The body is also just the 5 elements, so then you can resolve the body into Ishvara as well. So, like you say, it's a stepping stone, isn't it?
Yeah, stepping stones. Yeah. Okay, with the previous verse, the first 3 samadhis are over. All these are internal meditations focusing on the Sakshi Chaitanya as it reflects in the mind. Focusing on the witness conscious has to be necessarily internal, because consciousness can be recognized only internally. That's more or less what I was trying to say. So you need to go to the source of that thought and identify that the thought is also consciousness being reflected as a thought. So focusing on the witness conscious has to be necessary internal, because consciousness can be recognized from within. So we experience our conscious and our existence, how we experience our existence. So we look at the body and they say, oh, I exist as the body. How I recognize my conscious aspect, I say, oh, yes, because I have consciousness shining somehow in this body, and I feel like that I am, and I'm aware of my environment. So one can never experience consciousness outside there. So he's breaking down what I tried to explain before. So out there, it's a little bit more difficult to experience consciousness, although it everything can be resolved into consciousness, okay, but not with that touch of experience, okay, because when we say we can only experience consciousness internally, yet we have to observe that we don't experience consciousness internally. We experience reflected consciousness internally. We experience reflect consciousness from within the subtle body, okay? So, but we don't really experience consciousness, because consciousness is beyond the realm of experience. So one can never experience consciousness outside. When I'm speaking, it seems that you are hearing and hopefully understanding. I know that you are a conscious being, but I'm not experiencing the consciousness in you. So this is another logic being presented. I infer that Claudio is a conscious being, but I can only experience this reflect consciousness within my own body-mind complex. So Claudio is going to experience his own reflection in his own body-mind complex. So that's why we can never read each other's mind, which is a good thing, because it could be a mess if we would have, if we all would have superpowers, and there are a lot of people want to have superpower. Just imagine the mess in this physical reality, Consciousness is everywhere, but it's recognizable only in one's own body, as is referred in Atma Bodha, in one body mind, in one subtle body in another language. The Atma, in Atma Bodha, there is this passage that says the Atma does not shine. The Atma does not shine in everything, although it's all pervading. It is manifest only in the inner equipment, the intellect, just as the reflection in a clean mirror. Okay, in the Atma Bodha, we have this verse, it's a classic Vedantic teaching presenting consciousness, the Jiva Atma as a reflection of consciousness in the intellect. So we often say it's reflect in the subtle body, okay? So the intellect is the most subtle aspect of the subtle body. As we know, the subtle body is going to reflect thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, is going to reflect even the sense of ownership and doership. And but the intellect is where this Atma does reflect as the faculty of knowingness, okay? The ability to know, which is the chit aspect, the most pure chit aspect of Brahman, the knowingness power, the ability, the faculty to know by determining, discerning. All right, Claudio? Just as a reflection in a clean mirror. So, the reflection in a clean mirror, yeah, because if the mirror it has too much dust, there is no reflection. But there are some mirrors that are covered with a little bit of dust, but still they offer a little reflection, right? The reflection is not very clear. So likewise, the mind. If this intellect or the mind is not purified enough, the reflection there is not going to be as faithful, as pure, because we are looking here about the self, the consciousness that reflects in the intellect. Therefore, the clean mirror is one of the goals of anyone looking for experiential enlightenment as well through self-recognition, which requires a lot of sattva guna, a very clear reflection, so that it can contemplate the nature of the self in the light of the in the light of the teachings. Consciousness meditation can be practiced internally only. Hereafter, the three external samadhis will be discussed. Okay, so again, we're going to have three kinds of external samadhis, and in this verse, the author talks about the Savikalpa Samadhi. The methodology here is the same. The internal Samadhi, the thought was first focused on, and then from there, after, awareness was there present, revealing, illuminating the thought. And then we would hold on to the light, disclosing or revealing, illuminating the thoughts. Similarly, in this samadhi, dealing with the external world, the object can be taken as an aid. And from the object, one has to go to the existence, the aspect of the object. Everything is Brahman. It is suggested that it's better to take an object towards each one does not have like and dislike. Okay, this is a nice trick here. So if you want to meditate on the external object, so look for something that's not going to trigger your vasanas. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to meditate, right? So the vasanas are going to be Yeah? And so just imagine you are totally crazy for gelato di pistachio. Yeah? And then you say, okay, I'm going to use this Vedantic meditation towards the gelato di pistachio. You know? And then your mind is going to grow with desire for that, you know, because you have a vasana for that. You know? Now try to begin with something that you don't have much of a vasana. It's like watching a movie, concentrate on the screen. How about that? Not much fun, huh? We go to the theater, we're watching the movie and say, oh, it's only the screen. It's only the screen. Huh? So there is not much pleasure, but there is not much pain either, because you are not going to suffer if it is a horror movie, for example. No? Take an object like a clip, and then comes this famous clip example of Vedanta. They keep bringing this clip. Nobody has any problem with a clip. Nobody is going to feel attraction or repulsion towards a clip. Huh? Now take a clip. The clip has all those ast, bhat, priya, and rupan. So if we still remember those four aspects of everything, okay, and nama, five aspects, yeah. So nama and rupa alone belong to the clip, and then the other three aspects belong to Brahman. When it's said that the clip is the existence is present, is spread over the clip, then shift the attention from the clipness to the isness, the sat, yeah, existence of the clip, from clipness to its existence, isness. Thus you go to clip connected existence and focus on pure existence, which exists as all namarupas of the universe. It's not possible to focus on consciousness here because consciousness is not reflected in the clip. So you can, but it is a little bit more difficult, you understand, because consciousness is there, and sattva is present in every inert object as well. But since it's